You're listening to Oh My Health, There Is Hope podcast.
When your heart is aching and your world is shaking, don't give up. No, don't give up.
Hello and welcome to Oh My Health, There Is Hope, the podcast. I'm your host, Jana Short, and today I'm here with one of my favorite guests, Judy Hahn. Judy is known as It's Not All in Your Head expert that helps high-performing women go from feeling funky to feeling fabulous. Judy accomplishes that by puzzle piecing their symptoms together to discover the root cause of their health issues. Judy, I am so excited for this series, and I'm so grateful that you're here. Thank you.
Well, thank you for having me. I really appreciate it.
I know one of the things that we're going to talk about in this series is the difference between functional medicine and maybe modern medicine or traditional medicine. So do you want to share a little bit on that?
Sure. Actually, I think that's really important for people to understand because we've all grown up with traditional medicine where we know that we go to the doctor and it's because something's wrong. The doctor does some lab work and then tells us what we have and what we should take. And in functional medicine, you know, it's a very new medicine. It's maybe 20, 25 years old at the most. And it differs in so many wonderful ways that I appreciate your asking me that question. So first of all, like I said, the doctor wants to figure out what you have and what to give you. But functional medicine, I call it the why medicine. You know that kid that said, why? That was me. And so here you have a way to be able to look at someone's issues and say, okay, well, that's what you're telling me you have. And you tell me the doctor's diagnosis, that's great. But why do you have it? Why is your body allowing that condition to be created? And then figure out where that comes from and address it. So we look at, okay, so let me back up one sec. Functional medicine is a method of scientific work with people. But as opposed to the very siloed Western medicine, where you go to an endocrinologist for your thyroid, you go to a gastroenterologist for something wrong with your gut, here we understand that everything in your body is a system and that everything in your body is interconnected. And so, you know, something can't happen with your thyroid without your gut being involved. We don't send you to a million doctors. We look at all the relationships between what's going on and what's going on in your body, your symptoms, right? It is systems oriented. I guess that's one of the easiest ways to talk about it. And then the other thing is that we are truly looking to find out what the root cause of it is. Because if we can find out the real reason why you have whatever it is, we can address that and possibly help you reduce or remove it. So there's a really important piece here too. You know, doctors, and I would never bash doctors because if I break my arm, I got news for you. I don't want a functional medicine person or doctor. I want the doctor at the hospital who knows what a broken arm is and how to set it. But I want a personalized way of working with my health professional. Everybody that exists, even twins, unless they're identical, and then that's kind of a different story, but everybody is unique. And so everybody's going to react to different things. So everything is going to be personalized, customized. Knowing that each patient is a unique person, we want to look at the individual and not the disease. Because really, a lot of it comes from what was your lifestyle? What was your environment? Did you live in a place that maybe you lived on a farm and it was sprayed every other day with Roundup or something that, you know, got into your system? Everybody's different. And I like to look at it as a partnership. It's not about me saying to anybody, this is what I know and this is what you're going to do. I prefer to say, well, I have some ideas. Let's look at it. Let me see how you feel about it. I'd even like you to look at these supplements that I'm thinking might be good to start out with and see how you feel about those. Because in the end, it is not my body and my health. It is theirs. And so it's very patient centric, which, whoever heard of that, right? Then we have probably, this is what I learned when I was learning to be just a health coach, which is the bioavailability, bioindividuality. I'm sorry. We talk about bioavailability of products or supplements, but bioindividuality. And by that, what I'm really talking about is, like I was talking about a moment ago, the kid that grew up on a farm that was sprayed all the time, that he and his friends were out in the farm fields playing. And so, what was your lifestyle? What was your physical environment? Did you live under high voltage wires? That's going to affect your body, but it doesn't necessarily affect mine because I didn't. It's about looking at food as medicine, right? Because why, if there are the nutrients and there are things that we need in food, we have to look at food as a way to heal our bodies. Now, granted, our food isn't what it was when I was a kid, but that's a great place to start, especially if you'll excuse me, but crap food, which is fast and easy, full of calories and no nutrients, is part of your lifestyle. Okay. And I think maybe the other thing to think about, and here, let me tell you just a little story. I had a client who, I just adore this woman. She's sweet as can be. She's a breast cancer survivor. And she came to me, and all she wanted to do was work with me to kind of make sure she was eating right and living right and everything. She did not want this cancer to come back. And she understood that everything she did needed to be slightly different from what allowed the cancer to grow in the first place. And I do a health history, a symptom questionnaire, and a timeline. And in that information, I found out that for 20 years, she'd been treated for, it's called atopic dermatitis, which is really a form of eczema. Sometimes doctors will refer to it as contact dermatitis. And this woman is an analyst. Okay, so totally like, she does everything that she needs to do if you tell her to do whatever it is. And so she was always watching the products that she used in her home. She was watching the products she used on her hair, on her skin, everything. But she happened to be talking to me about something. And I have to admit that as science-based as it is, every once in a while we get kind of an intuitive hit about something. And it's important to go with that. And if it comes from them, often if you ask somebody, what do you think this comes from? They actually can tell you why they have a situation. So intuition is a wonderful thing. But I asked her if she would be okay doing what I call a full elimination diet. And I mean, that it's an intense thing, because it shifts everything that you're eating and brings it down to really, really basics, whole foods, whole vegetables. It's a wonderful way to figure things out. And the reason I'm talking about it is because the other piece that I didn't talk about was food sensitivities. Well, here's what happened. I'll make it short. She did her elimination diet. She did her reintroduction. I said, what do you miss the most? Let's reintroduce that. She said, pizza. My husband makes wonderful pizza from scratch. I said, wow, okay, well, that's nightshades, cheese, wheat, and gluten. would you do me one more favor? Would you be up for holding off the pizza one more week? And let's just look at the gluten piece. I'm not too concerned about the other things, but let's separate the wheat into wheat and gluten. Oh yeah, no problem. She was up for it. And she didn't make it through her first day of reintroduction. That day, she broke out in eczema. Her hands are usually the first to get it, and then they get red and cracked and all sorts. She said, I didn't make it through the first day because what we discovered was she had a food sensitivity to gluten. And she said to me, I've been going to doctors for 20 years, and no one ever asked me what I eat. And so I bring that up because it is such a great example of what functional medicine can do, right? I'm non-medical, but I still use their principles. And just by having her simply do that elimination diet and then reintroduction, she said, like, I'm 90%, 99% free of eczema now. And now we'll start doing what she really wanted to do.
I love that story. And I love that you're talking about root cause. And so to make it super simple, we all garden, right? And if we are mowing over those weeds, what happens? They keep coming back, which is like literally think of it as a chronic illness. The grass is
Yep.
chronically ill with weeds. But if I get in there and I find that root and I pull that root, I'm no longer dealing with that same thing popping back up, popping back up. We literally have a reason everything's happening in our body. Sometimes we can reverse it. Sometimes we can slow it down. Sometimes we can completely eliminate it. Sometimes it just is what it is. And you have to learn to thrive in that diagnosis, right? We were never meant to live forever, but I love how you, like one of the notes I took is about learning through reintroduction. And I don't know of any doctor who say, let's eliminate everything. Let's get your body clean and start adding things and seeing how your body accepts them, because they only have 15 minutes with you.
Can you imagine? Yeah,
I know, which I totally get. I mean, I do get it, but how are you going to find out a root cause in 15 minutes, which is why you get a pill to help with alleviate the symptoms that you have. So 100%, I love everything that you shared. What is like a running theme for your clients that they come to you with?
Well, more than necessarily, I was thinking running theme, but I guess when you think of what people can be dealing with, and you want to bring it down to the most basic, I have to say, I'm going to go back to the vicious cycle of crap food, stress, and toxins. And that interconnectedness of those things is what is creating the issues in our body. So and it doesn't matter. I mean, I have people who are two breast cancer survivors, and a woman who was convinced that it was her, she was at a point in her life that it was her sex hormones that were going crazy because she was going through menopause. Somebody else who is pre-diabetes. So a complete range of people. But when you look at it, the commonality is usually crap food, stress, and toxins. And it may not be all of them. I mean, like my lady with eczema was the epitome of, well, Judy, I eat healthy. I don't understand. Well, in that particular case, it happened to be a food sensitivity, which in its own way is a toxin, right? Your body is looking at it as a toxin. So if we look at what's common in all of the clients, I think when you look at the food, the crap food, there aren't any nutrients in it. Often your body looks at it as a toxin. It increases stress in your body. And usually, because we have this fascination with bakery goods, hello, I'm a recovering sugar addict. Uh, the refined carbs, the fructose, and whoever gave us a lesson in what oils to use, right? And those oils, like canola oil, is one of the worst things you can possibly use. Or whoever told us corn oil, those things are what they do to your body is they inflame it. And that creates inflammation is okay. So my hierarchy, and one of the things that I'll talk about when I get to stress is I believe that one of the biggest things that's coming from all of these that you're asking about, what's the central theme? It's stress. It is truly stress. And I think that one of my goals in what I do, so I believe that my job a lot is education, empowerment, and inspiration. Because really it's only about, that's what I can do for that person. The rest they have to take and do. And I don't want them to be tied to me for the rest of their lives. I want to give them the tools so that they can move forward on their own, right? But so I believe that we need to educate people about stress. We all know that stress is bad. We hear every day stress is bad. But who stops and says, did you know that stress will, if fight or flight mode, right? Who knew that that stops digestion? Who knew that that stops reproduction? Who knew that stuff? People don't know that because nobody bothers to teach you. So that's me. I have to tell you that stuff. Stress impairs your digestion, impairs detoxification. It increases your blood sugar. You don't even have to eat poorly to be a highly stressed person and have pre-diabetes or diabetes. And to tell you the truth, the woman that I was talking about that thought her issues on weight and things that were going on that were sex hormones, that it was menopause, she's pre-diabetic.
Mm.
And it's because this beautiful woman who is when I saw her hormone tests and I saw what her stress level was on those hormone tests, I was floored. On the outside, this woman is like calm, like an inland lake on a completely calm day, a mirror. And inside, her stress is creating all of this. And now she's pre-diabetic. So we have her on a program and so the weight it really never was a reality, which is what most people want to do. I want to lose weight. It was a symptom of this issue. And once we address the issue and we get her balanced and her blood sugar works properly and all the rest works, she's going to start losing the weight because the body doesn't need to hold on to it anymore. It's mind-boggling.
I love that story. For people who are listening right now, they might be thinking, like, I want to feel better, but that's a lot. It's like so much. But here's the thing, it's not. You literally fill out a questionnaire and let Judy take a look at like what that looks like in your life, your past, your current state, and how that looks, and start coming up with some options for you. And for me, getting healthy didn't happen overnight. And it hasn't stopped yet. It's been 9 years. I'm constantly reintroducing new things one at a time, removing toxins one at a time. We talked many times about my whole motto is when you run out, swap out. And so if I ran out of something super toxic and it was a cleaning product, what can I replace this with that's safer for my family and safer for our environment? And it took almost 9 years to get to this place, but we don't have toxins in our house anymore. And it wasn't overnight. So it's just taking that first step. And like, what is it going to look like to remove some stress? One step. What is it going to look like to know what I'm eating and putting in my body? What's that first step? For me, the first step would be connecting with someone who has a little more education to share with us, because as educated as I thought I was not in the holistic field. I was not in the toxic field. Like, I looked at things that I thought weren't toxic because it said natural or healthy on it, and it was full of toxic stuff. So it was learning to educate myself over a period of 9 years. So connecting with someone like Judy and even if it's following her on social media, engaging with her. I don't know if she does a newsletter or not, but she has so much information out there. One of the things I want you to share with everyone is the free offer that you have for them.
Well, thank you. Actually, speaking of toxins, it is lower your toxic load. And, it is exactly that. It's that you don't know what you don't know.
Yeah.
And I have to say, I was a, I was, I was a totally different, I was in a totally different career before, and I didn't know these things. And the more I learned about it, the more I realized I have to be that person who stands on the soapbox and shares this with people. So on my website, hanholistichealth.com, if you go there, a pop-up window will come up, and there is a free 6-video series on lowering your toxic load. And it's just to give you an overview, right? Remember, and I tell you on there all the time, this is information. So just like Jana was saying, when you're done with whatever product you have, let's start looking at better products, right? Because that you can do good, better, best, and work into it, baby steps, whatever. So I would say that if you don't ever talk to me, please go to that website, hanholistichealth.com, and at least put your name in there so that you can get that 6-email series, because I think it's really valuable information. And don't go to Dr. Google for your information.
That should be called Doctors Google, because there's so many different opinions, and some of them have great back facts. Some of them have absolutely no facts. It's just their opinion, and it's really hard to tell it apart. So finding an expert like Judy, and that, by the way, I have used that video series, and I love it. You get one beautiful video delivered to you every day. They're short, they're full of information, and they are done so well. So Judy, thank you for creating that. We're going to definitely put the links in the show. She has 3 more parts to this episode coming up. So you're going to want to hear how we break down every single part of functional medicine and how you can start thriving in whatever space you're in right now by just learning a few more things about yourself. So thank you so much, Judy.
Oh, thanks, Jana. I appreciate being here.
Thanks for listening to the Oh My Health, There Is Hope podcast. Make sure to visit Jana's website, bestholisticlife.com, where you can subscribe to the show on iTunes, Google Play, or listen there, so you'll never miss an episode. While you're at it, if you found value in the show, we'd appreciate a rating on iTunes, or if you simply tell a friend about the show, that'll help too. Let's change the world together, one health expert at a time. Looking forward to seeing you next time.